Alright, I just talked a little bit about sort of getting started with the unbandaged helicopter cube. I showed the basic additional jumbling that you can do, and showed the change in orientation of these pieces, and showed how they swap and everything like that. And so now I want to put it all together into an actual solving video. So I'm going to scramble this, and then I'm going to solve it, and I'm going to talk about what I'm doing while I'm solving it. So first I'm going to do some basic non-jumbling scrambled moves, because once it gets jumbling it can get really hard to actually make it look scrambled. Okay, time to get some jumbling in here. Jumbling goes really just insane on this puzzle. I'm going to try to jumble it into a case where I can only do a single move. Can't do that move. Can do this move. Okay, so let's see. So if we do that, and then we do that, and then we do that. Can I turn that? I think so. That won't turn anymore. This won't turn anymore. This won't turn anymore. This won't turn anymore. This will still turn. Is there anything we can do about it? No. I don't think there's any way we can make this not turn. Oh yes, watch, check this out. And then, now that won't turn. This will still turn. That will still turn. Okay, well, it's pretty darn jumbled. So my goal number one is to get rid of as much overhang bandaging as possible. So I'm just gonna use intuition, and I'm gonna try to start doing some basic unjumbling. And sometimes it's hard to figure out if something's allowed. There we go. That's allowed to turn, yes. So this is a problem. This is not even turned properly because that's blocking it. And so we want to get that turning first, but we can't because that's blocking. And we want to get this turning because that's blocking. And we want to get this turning because that's blocking. So that's no longer blocking. Okay. This is a total mess. So okay, let's see if we can do something about this. We have three triangles that are like in the way. So let's see if we can get No, that's blocked. I can't do that move. Sometimes you can't do a jumbling move, and it's surprising because this thing can do so many jumbling moves that it's like, what? No jumbling move? So I'm just trying to get this out of the way. Okay. So now we have this tile and this tile. So if we do this to that, we're going to end up with a corner broken instead. Perfect. So we made that simpler. Okay. And I think if we do can this turn? Yes. This is still a total mess. I don't like this at all. I just made that a lot worse. That's annoying. So is there something we can do about... Okay. So, if we can fix this. Or come close to it anyways. We just need to get some stuff out of the way first. Okay, so let's see what happens when we do this. Okay, this is nice. So we know that if we turn this, let's see what happens when we keep on going here. Nope, this is not going to help us. See, what our goal would be is to push this up with this base against that. And that'll simplify things. So we need to change the orientation of this piece. So I think we can actually do that. It's going to require getting some stuff out of the way temporarily. Well, you know what? That'll work. We'll put a different piece in its place. Now, this is going to simplify this slightly. If I can get it to turn. The problem is that these edges turn so easily that it's easy to have an edge slightly misaligned and then the tiles catch. There we go. So we went from 2 screwed up triangles to just 1. Okay. Now, okay, here's that case where we have this triangle and this corner. We should be able to fix this. We'll need to get this out of the way. So if we do this, okay, so we solved that corner and that at the same time. Okay, now we have a similar position. And if we can, I don't remember the orientation that this thing needs to be in. So let's, okay, this is how it was, like that. There we go. Now we're very close to being unjumbled here. So if I do that, bring that around, bring that up, put that back. Now, this puzzle is completely unjumbled. Now, I don't know if that looked easy or not, but frankly, if I didn't have to talk through it, if I were just able to do it, and if I were in a little bit more practice, I could do it really fast. So I've timed myself before, and I can usually unjumble this thing in about a minute, a little bit less. At this point, this is just a regular helicopter cube. There is no other there's no weird hiccups, there's no weird cases or anything like that. So I don't know if you've ever solved a regular helicopter cube or not. Basically, I first fix all the orbits, and to fix all the orbits, you just need to make sure that you conform all of the color on a particular face. Now, I happen to know that this blue piece is in this orbit, so the blue orbit is already good. Blue is good. Now I'm going to do the green orbit. That's a problem. So if we want to fix this, then we need to swap this piece with another piece in a different orbit. We already know that, so we know that the white piece is in that orbit, so that's good enough. So the way I do that is you just turn those two like that. And then, okay, there we go. Now we just need to make sure the other green piece is in the orbit. We just need to make sure we fix the orbits in a way that we don't break the ones we've already done. So I already did blue. Now I'm doing green. So I can't break blue in any in the process here. Okay, so there's a problem. Those two green pieces are in the same orbit. So there we go. If we swap, well, we can't swap the blue and the green because that would cause a problem. So we're going to swap the orange and the green instead, because we haven't solved the orange orbit yet. Okay, and we know the green piece, that green piece is in the right orbit. So blue and green are done. So now I'm going to do white. Okay, so those two are in the same orbit. That's a problem. I could swap it with the yellow here, might as well, since I don't know if the yellows are already in the right orbit or not. So where's the other white piece? Okay, the white piece is done, blue piece is done, green piece is done. Now we need to do yellow. Okay. Those two are in the same orbit. We need to swap. That's not going to help us at all. So we need to bring this around until we can will that help us? There we go. So now we can swap this yellow and this red piece. Okay, now yellow's done. So the only thing left is red and orange. So now let's fix the red orbit. That's already incorrect. I'm going to do this. Okay, so now it's fixed. And okay, so the red's already done. So if all the orbits are done except for the orange orbit, well, that's not possible. So the orange must also be done. So now this thing is ready to be solved. So the way I do that, I'm not an efficient helicopter cube solver. In fact, I'm a terribly inefficient helicopter cube solver. Okay, so 2 white corners placed, 3 white corners placed, 4 white corners placed. Might as well put that white corner in place too. And then So now we got the white face essentially solved. Now I'm gonna do the remaining corners at this point. Set corners in place, wrong orientation. That corner's in place, correct orientation. Okay, so I have 3 corners in the wrong orientation here. I seem to remember that if I do something like there we go. Okay, now I'm going to start 3 cycling. So I want to get this orange piece in here first. And so we can do that's just a 3-1 commutator, 8 moves. Again, the same 3-1 commutator, just 8 moves. So now those 2 are done. Let's see if we can get this green one in. It's going to break that orange. That's okay though. See if I can figure out those 2 set of moves to undo. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So we gotta get some red solved in here now. It's gonna break that green. That's okay, I want to solve the upper ones first. No, you know what? Break yellow. Okay. Now this is a nice recycle. This is going to solve 3 pieces at once. And here's another really nice recycle. It's going to solve 3 pieces at once. Okay, now we have a sort of interesting case here. We have a swap in this orbit, which means this orbit is in an odd permutation. It only takes a single swap. Now, the trick is that when I was doing the sequence to swap this piece with that piece, which are in different orbits, it was also swapping those 2 which are in the same orbit. And so if I can arrange to have a red on this other side, or an orange on this side, and then I do that swap, it will do that swap, and this swap won't be visible. So I just need to swap this piece with another piece in a different orbit. So let me see if I can get a red over there. Perfect. Now we have 2 reds opposite each other. We're going to swap them, but you won't be able to see it, and those 2 will swap. Red, red. Okay, now we got to undo those setup moves. Oh, what did I do wrong? I have a corner wrong. shoot. Well, I don't remember. I don't really see how I... Oh, I know what I did wrong. I think that? No. Yes, that's what I needed to do. I needed to undo that last move. There we go. Okay, so this puzzle is solved. And it wasn't that difficult. So the only thing is that when I was showing that jumbling and I unjumbled this puzzle, I did not get myself into a really, really insane situation where I just can't do any move, and every move, or that I can only do one move, and every time I do that move, it just gets me into a spot where I can only do one other move, and I can't seem to get out of that spot. And in fact, to jumble this puzzle into a situation so bad that it's super, super difficult to unjumble it itself requires skill. It takes experience jumbling and unjumbling this puzzle in order to be able to scramble the puzzle so hard that the overhang bandaging is so bad that all of the useful sequences that I showed, you just can't do any of them because all of them are so badly bandaged that you can't actually use any useful tools, and you sort of have to work yourself via intuition for a long time before you can finally get to any point where you can do any useful sequences. I've only gotten into that situation once, so I got pretty cocky scrambling and solving this puzzle. Now, that took like 20 minutes, but trust me, I can do it in, I can unjumble in a minute and solve in like 3 minutes. So I can solve this puzzle in under 5 minutes when I'm in practice and when I'm not explaining and going slow for camera. But so I got pretty cocky. I got pretty like, oh, the unbandaged helicopter cube is pretty easy. But boy, if you can get yourself into a situation where the overhang bandaging is so extreme that you just cannot get yourself out of it, then you might spend an hour trying to unjumble this puzzle, even though you already know how to unjumble it, just because it can get really ridiculous. I can't show that on camera because it's just as hard to get into that situation as it is to get out of it. So I could try to get myself into that situation for a long time on the camera and turn out that, oh, well, I'm in a simple situation and solve it. So you're going to have to take my word on it. This is a really fun puzzle. It's ridiculously great. It turns well, as you can see. The having trouble turning it is just because I have the puzzle so loose that, this can be slightly turned and then the tiles will catch because, you have something slightly turned. So, this is slightly turned. Now if I want to turn... see now the tiles are catching because that's slightly turned. You have to sort of uncatch the tiles. Now why won't that go? Well, it won't go because that's slightly turned. You have to, but if you adjust and tension it right, and you can clearly see how well this puzzle turns. And I highly recommend it. The price is absolutely great. I think Eric sells this thing for, I think it's $80. Which for a 3D printed shape-based puzzle is a really amazing deal. And it's a lot of fun, and you can actually get yourself into a really insane jumbling situation where it takes a huge amount of work to get out of it. And because it's so hard to get into it and so hard to get out of it, I can't actually reproduce it for the camera. But just take my word on it, it can be done. Thanks for watching.